51%. That is the percentage of Americans who now say they trust the police. 51%. Up 8 points in a single year. Okay. The biggest jump of an institution that Gallup tracks. So I guess that's good, right? Sounds like good news. I'll take it. But I want you to hold that thought. We're going to break it down by race. And then the story flips upside down. 54% of white adults say they trust the police. Only 44% of people of color say they do. 10 points. Did you hear that? Still there. Still wide. The gap is wide. Now, here's the stat that stopped me cold. And I want you to let me know how you feel about it. In New York City alone, over 43,000 officers, active or former, have been named in misconduct complaints since the year 2000. Did you hear that? 243,000 individual allegations. And when a civilian files a complaint, only one win, okay? 1 in 7 wins. 1 in 7. So if you are sitting around waiting for the system to police itself, I'm gonna need you to pack a lunch because you're gonna be waiting for a while. My guest today did not wait, and I'm so thrilled to have him here. I'm Tonya McKenzie. This is Control the Narrative, and today we are talking about what happens when a citizen with a laptop decides to build the accountability the system will not. In 2020, I know y'all remember the year. I know you remember. After the murder of George Floyd, a software engineer named Gabriel Karkaji was doing what most of us were doing, scrolling, watching videos and video after video of police interactions, getting angry, getting irritated, questioning society and how we even got here, then getting curious. Here's what he noticed. Every video was scattered. Every clip got buried by the algorithm or somebody that didn't want you to see it within 48 hours. There was no system for this. There was no pattern, no public record you could actually search. So he built one. It's called WatchR. Record, rate, report. 3 verbs, 1 mission. Citizens document their interactions with law enforcement, rate the experience, and add it to a growing public database. Do you hear me? Not to start fights, not to start problems, to create a paper trail. Because right now, whether an officer gets held accountable often depends on whether a bystander happens to hit record and whether that video happens to go viral. That's not a system. That's kind of a lottery if you think about it. Gabriel built WatchR from scratch as a solo founder, launched it, and on the Apple app. You know, it's a thing. People do things like this. So it's on the Apple App Store, Google Play, took it on television, ran it through startup incubators, and he has spent years building relationships with advocacy organizations across North America who are asking the exact same questions he asked in 2020. What if accountability did not have to be an accident? Let us bring him in. Gabriel, welcome. Hi.
Hi, Tonya. Thanks for having me. Happy to be
Thank
here.
you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Control the Narrative. I'm super excited to have you. And I want you to, jump right in and take me back to 2020. What was the exact moment you went from angry and irritated at what you were seeing online to I'm going to build an app for this?
Right. So actually, that moment was before 2020. By the time 2020 rolled around and there was and George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, at that point I was completely jaded and completely jaded and numb to these sorts of situations. Right. So to the point where when I saw the George Floyd video, it to me was like I looked at it, shook my head up. There goes another black man unjustly murdered by a police officer, and then I just scrolled past it. And then that video, I saw it again and again and again, while as I'm scrolling, and then that's when I really started wondering, okay, like why is this video coming back over and over again? Next thing you know, it's worldwide news, it's global news. So that's why I'm starting to ask myself, okay, what made it so different? Why do people suddenly care now? Did people always care? Were they also jaded and like thought and felt like they were powerless? And then I started breaking down the whole George Floyd situation. Why this specific situation became world news, where we were talking 50 million protesters in the middle of a once in a century pandemic were willing to go and protest elbow to elbow against this issue. So I broke it down. It took a long walk around my neighborhood, and I just started thinking about if there was a way to recreate this sort of virality in any other situation like that. So I thought about it, and by the time I got back home, I'm sitting on the side of my bed with my head in my hands, and then it just hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. That I swear, I got a vision, like a little like premonition, where I saw something play before my eyes. I saw like little clips of what felt like, I guess, the future of what something like WatchR could be. And then by the time it was over, I fell back on my bed and cried. It was that powerful, that intense. And when I was done, I came back to it, and I was wondering to myself, what the hell was that? Like, what just happened? And yeah, and the only explanation that I had for it is that God spoke to me. God gave me this vision, gave me this idea, and told me, build this app. You will help a lot of people. You will save a lot of lives. You will change the world. So from that moment onward, that's I became completely obsessed with the idea. I literally learned mobile development just for that, just so I can build WatchR, and yeah, and now I'm here.
Man, listen, you are a software engineer, not a criminal justice expert, not a policy person. What did that, as an outsider position, let you see that people inside the system might have missed? Because, man, I mean, talk to
Right.
me.
Yeah. So, and that's what's interesting about situations like these. When you're outside of the system, you're capable of seeing things that people inside of the system don't see, because they're so like tunnel vision on the regular the regular way of things going should be, right. When you're outside of the system, it literally allows you to kind of think outside of the box, because you don't even have a box to think in. You don't know how this system necessarily works as it is, or like you kind of know like little bits and pieces, but but having the ability to think outside of the box, and obviously knowing, having experience just like using regular social media, just like any other person, seeing how other social medias kind of aggregate data in different ways, and how aggregating that data helps users. I just thought that we could literally be doing the same thing, but with police officers, right? Like I created, I guess, a what you could call social media ish type of app that could be that's kind of like the fusion of something like Rate My Prof and Instagram, right? For police. But the beauty of it is, contrary to like other rating websites like Rate My Prof or Google Review or otherwise, there is literally video that goes along with that rating. So like that, so it's not just like a vibe, like, or like going off of somebody saying, oh, this was my experience. No, you see the experience yourself.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You built this entire platform as a solo founder. No
Hmm.
co-founder, no cushion, no department behind you. What did the first year actually look like for you? And what did you get wrong before you got right?
Okay, so first, a lot of the early stage was just literally learning mobile development. It took me a couple of months, but I kind of got the hang of it. This was also pre AI anything, so everything was pretty much programmed by hand or like semi hand. Any programmer would tell you that nobody really programs anything by hand. It was kind of everybody shares their code, kind of copy pasted here and there. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of it was just like trial and error, trying to see how the navigation would work in the best way to present the data in a really nice way. So like it wasn't always the way that it is right now, and I'll show you in your audience in a little bit how the app looks and works. But before it looked quite different. This is actually the second version of the app that I'll be showing you. The first version is actually is a lot simpler, I guess, but that's only because I didn't have necessarily the tools or the knowledge as I was building, because I was learning as I was building the first version, right? But since then, I gained a lot of experience through my professional life, and obviously AI became a thing. So with both of those two things, it allowed me to just like decide, hey, like I'm just gonna scrap it all and remake it from scratch, and make it like really like add a bunch of features that I think would be good for people, and yeah, make it just a better usability experience.
Great. Well, walk us through record, rate, and report. What actually happens in the 30 seconds after someone hits record on the app, and show us what you got.
Sure. If you'll allow me to share my screen, I'll walk you through it gladly. Yeah. This is WatchR, and the whole concept of it is, as I told you, is to record all your interactions with cops from beginning to end, right? And as you're recording, you'll be prompted to document some basic information on the police officers, such as their badge number, the department where they work, the reason why you were stopped in the first place, as well as some additional info, like if you're recording for somebody else, you can put yourself as a witness, which will then prompt you to describe the person that is having the interaction with the cop based on their age, gender, and ethnicity. Whether or not you're arrested, and whether or not you were given a fine, and if you were, how much was the fine and why you got the fine. After that, as you mentioned, like there was also a rating system. So from my research, I essentially boiled it down to these 4 traits that a police officer should have to be considered a good police officer. And if you feel like the officer didn't respect one or many of these traits, you can flick the switch off next to it and put in the exact timestamp in the video that you just took where you feel the officer didn't respect that specific trait. And you can do that multiple times for each one. And then finally, there's also a 5-star rating, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then once you post it, it goes on what I call the Overwatch screen. So essentially, you'll create a red pin just like this one at your exact geolocation on this map to indicate where this interaction took place. Another user could then tap on your red pin, which will take them to the video you just took. They can watch the video, and after watching the video, it'll also prompt them to rate your interactions with the cop based on their own unbiased opinion. And then once they rate it, the red pin will then turn blue for that user to indicate that they viewed and rated your video. And finally, there's also the yellow pins. The yellow pins are police departments. If you tap on a police department, it'll take you to that police department's profile page where you see every single officer that works in that specific police department identified by their badge number. And then if you tap on a police officer, it'll take you to that specific police officer's profile page where you see every single video that was taken of that specific police officer, essentially creating a publicly accessible database on the history of every individual cop throughout their entire career, if everybody's using WatchR to record their interactions with cops. And then finally, if you want a little more info on either police officer or police department in general, you can tap on the info button on the top right, and it'll show you their overall rating like this. And if you tap on demographics right here, it'll show you who this police officer stops the most often by demographics. So by ethnicity, by gender, and by age range.
So this is the second iteration. What
yes.
What did the first one look like? Now that you look at your work and you look at the first iteration, like what are your thoughts?
It's a night and day it's a night and day difference. So like features which like the demographics breakdown is something
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't there in the first version, right? Like it was always an idea, but I told myself that I would work on it later down the line. But after thinking about it, I felt like it was a really important feature, so that people can really view from a quick look at any officer or department's profile. Hey, like, is there potentially like a bias, a biased view, or bias in their arrests or their stops in each area. Uh,
Yeah.
and then there's other features that I didn't showcase during this demo, but for example, situations like Alex Preddy, where I'm sure a lot of your viewers are very familiar with that name. The male nurse that was killed unjustly by the ICE officers in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened and it's actually super important. The original video that went viral for Alex Preddy's
Mm-hmm.
murder, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of controversy regarding it, regarding like was the shooting justified. A lot of people were saying that it was because he was armed and he was reaching for his gun, and that's why they shot him, etc., etc. And then afterwards, a second angle of that same incident appeared that was literally from the opposite side of the incident, and you could literally see Alex Preddy's hands, both hands on the ground, with an ICE officer literally going for his gun to unholster it. So there was no longer any question whether or not that shooting was justified, whether or not Alex Preddy was going for his gun or not. We literally saw it from that different angle. So what I did with WatchR is that even if there's already a user recording the interaction for somebody else, or a police interaction,
Mm-hmm.
another user of the app can also record that same interaction from a different angle. And once they both post those videos, instead of creating two separate posts in the feed, or on the map to create like two different pins, it'll actually combine them into the same post. So that other users, other viewers in the app can just, instead of like having to scroll vertically to find
Mm-hmm.
the separate post, they can just like swipe through that same post, kind of like on Instagram, and
Yeah.
see like the different angles of that same interaction. So I felt like that was an important feature to add, to really add more context to these interactions whenever it happens.
Well, thank you for the demo, and I definitely encourage everyone to download that app. I mean, hello. But I have a question for you.
Mm.
I How do you keep this from becoming a tool for harassment instead of a tool for accountability? Because everybody ain't always on the up and up.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's a good question. And as of right now, there obviously isn't necessarily well, actually, that's not true. I was going to say there isn't a way to prevent it, but there is. So between you posting a video and the video becoming live for the public, there is moderation. So that moderation goes through me. Essentially, I'm the moderator. I check every single video that gets posted, make sure that it's applicable and good for the platform. And then once I approve it, everybody else gets to see it, but only after 24 hours. So like I know there was an anti-ICE app. I believe it was called Ice Block. That was removed from the app stores because the DOJ said that it hindered police work, essentially, because it caused harassment like that, because it literally indicated the location of police interventions, kind of similarly to mine, or not police but ICE interventions, to kind of warn to warn people of their presence. So what I did, so my job and the WatchR's job isn't to warn people of police presence. It's really to document, as you said at the beginning, to leave a paper trail of police interventions. So once somebody posts a video and I approve it, there's still a 24-hour delay between that and it being viewable by other users, to make sure that that those videos that are being posted aren't going to cause any sort of harassment of the police officers that are there, that are just conducting their regular police business and police inquiries, right? So after 24 hours, chances are the police officers that were there are no longer there, and it no longer would be used to hinder their police work.
So for the most part, you're the safeguard right now.
Yeah, I am. But like, yeah, you could say that I am the safeguard. But like, like I said, there's already a safeguard implemented into the app, that 24-hour safeguard to prevent that type of harassment.
Gotcha. So again, you built this as a solo founder with no institutional backing. What did, and for the people that are working on projects like this, what did the App Store and Google Play approval process teach you about how much resistance exists for a tool like this?
Honestly, to my surprise, there wasn't really too much. I mean, other than the basic checklist of things that any app really should have to that any app should have to be accepted. The only issue that I had was at the beginning when I first submitted for approval on the Apple App Store. They did say like, oh, like since you're recording criminal behavior or things of the sort, you need explicit approval by the local police departments to have this sort of application available in that area. But I had like a bunch of back and forth with the Apple review team, explaining I'm not asking people to document criminal behavior. I'm asking them to document police behavior. So like it was just a question that kind of I guess misunderstanding from the Apple team,
Mm-hmm.
Apple review team. But other than that, like I didn't really get too much friction on their part.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about let's talk about legislative stuff for a
Mm-hmm.
minute,
Sure.
because the numbers here, they matter.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2020, 48 states have passed at least one new police accountability law. 48. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like momentum. Maybe we're going in the right direction. But researchers tracking those laws keep flagging the same problem. Most came with no enforcement mechanism,
Yeah.
no dedicated funding, no oversight structure attached. A
Mm-hmm.
law on paper is not the same as an outcome in the streets, because just because you say so, if you're not enforcing it, does it even really matter? Gabriel, does that gap, laws without enforcement, make you more necessary?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, these laws essentially have no teeth. It's just, in my personal opinion, it's just something to kind of tell everybody, hey, you see, like we hear you, like we know the George Floyd, and we know Alex Preddy, and we know Renee Good. Yeah, we heard you. Okay, so here's a law that we passed, and stop asking us about it. It's essentially the way that I see it. And that's literally why I created WatchR. These situations, these horrible tragedies, uh, they happen. They've been happening forever, and we literally had a new one recently. A Latino dad that was also killed by unjustly killed by ICE. These laws were put in place but have literally no effect, and that's literally why I created WatchR, because if the current system that we have in place won't do anything because I don't know, they don't have enough data, well, I'm willing to aggregate that data for you so you can have better better information for you to put in laws, and for people to also push back against their local governments, their local police departments. Say, hey, officer with the badge number 123, we've had a few issues with them. We can see their profile. We see like a pattern of bad behavior. We see there's clearly bias in the way that he or she interacts with the public based on, I don't know, gender, ethnicity, age range, whatever it may be. Right? We want we want them out of the system. Like we get, like WatchR isn't about like, oh, you make one mistake and you're out. It really isn't that. It's about a pattern of bad behavior, and that's why we have these stats. And me and WatchR aren't also anti-police. I believe that police are an integral part of a well-functioning society, right? But it's just like with an elevated amount of authority, you need also an elevated amount of transparency and an accountability, right? And that's literally why I called it WatchR, right? There's an old saying that says, "Who watches the watchers?" It's a philosophical question that that really touches on power and balance, authority, transparency, and accountability. And it's been a philosophical question that we've been asking ourselves for centuries, even millennia, right? And I believe to finally have answered that question. And the answer is quite simple. We all do. We all watch the watchers. So we keep each other accountable. It's circular accountability. The police officers keep us accountable, but we keep them accountable back by this aggressive transparency that I am advocating for, essentially.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, here's what I keep coming back to. The confidence numbers I opened with: 51% trust police, 44% of people of color, not so much. That gap's not going to close because we want it to. It closes when documentation replaces assumptions. And when data replaces vibes, this is what I try to get people to understand all the time. When data, information, numbers, facts replace vibes, the record cannot be buried by an algorithm. It's real. You know what I'm saying? It's for real. It's concrete. Gabriel, you didn't wait for permission to build this. You just did your thing. Talk to me about, because you make it sound easy, like, you worked through some things and got this great app. But I know you had some difficulty, and there were moments where you were like, no, this is too much. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, honestly, obviously the development process, and any programmer will tell you the same thing, especially when you're learning a new language. It's always a brain numbing, not brain numbing, actually brain blowing. It's you gotta think of a million different things at the same time, and like you gotta make things like more optimal in the way that it gets and sends data back. All these things, but like honestly, like I don't even want to talk too much about the programming part, because compared to what I'm going through now, that's nothing. What my real issue right now is, honestly, is just visibility, and it's having like kind of the reputation that goes with it, because nobody knows about me, nobody knows about WatchR. So like I really just need, my biggest issue right now that I'm going through is just people knowing about WatchR, because WatchR, the thing with WatchR is there's no middle ground between it not working and it working. There's not, it's not like, oh, it's working a little bit, like it's doing its thing. Like, no, like the only way that WatchR really works and has the effect and that it's intended to have on society as a whole, and to actually fix the problem in policing, which is abuse of power, is if everybody's using it. If we can't just have like a few thousand people on it. No, we need literal millions of people on it, so that, because just by the type of content that's on it, right? It's police interventions. How often does the average person have an interaction with the cop? It's very rare. And that obviously changes between different ethnicities, different genders, and different age ranges. So like everybody needs to be on the app, so that like a small percentage, like 1% of those millions of people can have those interactions with cops on a daily basis, so that the rest of the 99% of that user base can view and rate those videos. And that's really what's really important, more than anything. It's really the visibility and the notoriety, for it to have any sort of impact. So, which is why, again, I'm super grateful that you're having me on, letting me talk about WatchR, and sharing WatchR with your viewer base.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for taking the time to do it, because this is the story. Not because technology saves us, because citizens who are actually paying attention know how to build things that solve problems. And something that I think you are even more dangerous to a broken system than 1,000 viral videos that disappeared by Friday. So thank you for that. I want you to tell the people how they can find you, how they can follow your journey, and where to get the app.
Yes, of course. So you can follow me on pretty much all social media platforms at We Are Watchers. So the way that's written, it's WER, the letter R, Watchers, WATCHRS. There's no E. So We
Okay.
Are Watchers. And yeah, and you can download the app. You can download WatchR on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. If you don't find it very easily, again, and WatchR's written again, WATCHR. There is no E in there. If you don't find it, just put like police next to it, so WatchR police, and it should theoretically appear there. Yeah. So
Wonderful. So if this episode, guys, made you think, I want to make sure you hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think about this and where you land on this. Do you think this app is something that we actually needed? And for a deeper dive, go on over to Control the Narrative on Substack. I will have more information and data in regards to this app and being a startup founder, because many people want to know how to make this happen, how to get your stuff on, the Apple and Google, and you want to be able to have your products accessible. So we'll drop all that information there. Control
yeah.
the Narrative on Substack. Go ahead.
Yeah, one last thing. Due to the fact that I'm just a solo founder, I don't have like any investors behind me pushing me in one way or another. This is really a solo project, so I also have a GoFundMe where you guys can donate any sort of money to try to fund this project, because obviously it's a huge endeavor. A lot of like costs to maintain the back ends and everything else, in storage, etc. So with your permission, obviously, Tonya, I'd like to put that in the description too.
Absolutely. Make sure you send me that information. Let's touch base after this, because there are still some incredible problem solvers out there bringing their technology to the people to try to make things better. So thank you for taking the time to share your journey on becoming a solopreneur and for creating something that helps us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon.